Hello, good evening, everyone. We're just going to give one more minute or so while everyone gets signed on, and then we'll get started.
Oh, great. Hi, Nancy. Hi, Lenora. Hi, Ken. Hi, Jeff.
Sounds like an old romper room episode. And I see Sherry and I see Denise.
Denise, thank you for joining. My former legislative aide. Denise, I might let you answer the questions.
Okay, you guys are all saying hi. I'm going to say hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom. We can all say hi, Mom.
Well, she seriously is on, so I'm not kidding. Hi, Mom.
I saw
That's
that
so
too.
great.
You got to have your biggest fan, right?
Yeah, for sure. Hi, Ingrid. Hi, Kathy.
All right, I think we can go ahead and get started. So good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining our town hall, this pre-session town hall. My name is Elizabeth Bashing, and I am a legislative aide for Representative-elect Jennifer Parenti, who just won her election for State House District 19. We are so excited to also have Senator Sonia Jaquez Lewis from State Senate District 17 here tonight, along with Representative Karen McCormick, who was just reelected to State House District 11. We believe that Congressman Joe Neguse is on the US House floor for some late voting tonight, but we do know that either he or someone from his office will join us at about 6:30. So just to go over the format for tonight's town hall, each legislator is going to talk for a few minutes about their priorities for the 2023 legislative session. Afterwards, we'll have a few minutes for Q&A, so make sure that you are submitting any questions you have throughout the event. And to submit a question, you should see a little Q&A box down at the bottom of your screen. Just click that and you can submit your questions there. We won't be able to get to them all, but you can also email your questions. We will be providing our legislators' emails in the chat later this evening, and we will try to get you an answer to your question as soon as possible. And again, we will put those emails in the chat a little bit later on. So in the interest of not wasting any time, we will kick things off with Senator Jaquez Lewis. Senator, take it away.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Before I forget, I want to make sure that I give a shout out to Molly and Denise. Molly will be my senior legislative aide for the session. And Denise is also on with us tonight. She will be helping with all of our interns and our staffing. So thank you both for being with me in this as we get ready for our legislative session. We can go ahead. Perfect. Thanks, Molly. I'm excited to say that I got a promotion for January. I will be chair of the Senate Local Government and Housing Committee. That is a new committee. We have combined local government with housing, and that is going to be a big job because we have a lot of needs in affordable housing. We're going to be looking at a package from the governor's office. We're going to be looking at bills that I know are coming from the Senate side. I know we have quite a number of bills coming from the House side. So that'll be a big lift for this coming January, and we need it. We need a lot of work in the housing area, both from affordable land, house home ownership, and for renters. So we'll be trying to tackle all of that. I'll be staying on Health Committee, Transportation and Energy is a new committee for me. I'm very excited that the chair will be Senator Winter. I know many of you know Faith Winter. I've had a couple of honors come up since we last chatted. I've been nominated to be an Academy member for the National Academy for Health Policy. That's an amazing honor, and I'll be working on health policy from a national perspective. And then I just was appointed from President Fenberg to the Council of State Governments Shared State Legislative Committee. That's where we go over bills from all over the country and look at them from a, is this an innovative idea? Is this something that could work in many states? The thing that really takes up the majority of my time is caucus memberships. I happen to be a member of 5 different caucuses. Our Democratic caucus that all of us are a member of now. I'm a member of the Latino caucus and a member of the LGBTQ caucus. And we now have a very active women's caucus that was really, really going this past session. And Karen and Jennifer are also members of that. They do take up a lot of time because we're looking at supporting each other's bills. We're looking at, are we missing an issue that we need to work on? And so I'm excited about all of that work. So Molly, if you'll keep me going here on time. There we go. Perfect. So I wanted to highlight, I have other bills I'm going to talk with you about, but I wanted to highlight gun violence prevention because I'm one of the founding members of the very first ever Gun Violence Prevention Caucus. And that is really so needed right now in Colorado. And I'll be working on at least 2 bills around gun violence prevention. The first one has to do with in Colorado and 2 other states, Arkansas and Illinois, we have in statutory language, we have added immunity to firearm manufacturers and other gun shops and other participants in the firearm industry. And it really has led to all kinds of problems. And I want to take a moment to say that today, on the 10th anniversary of the Sandy Hook Elementary School massacre, there could not be a greater need for this bill. It removes language that stops victims' families from being able to sue the industry for anything that they may have contributed for gun violence. In Connecticut, they passed their own legislation that allowed for the families to be able to sue. We don't, and obviously this has happened here in Colorado, mass shootings, we don't have that ability here. And in fact, in the Aurora theater shooting, one of the parents of one of the victims, Jessica Galway, was her parents tried to sue and they were countersued and lost their home and went into bankruptcy. So my bill, and I'll be running this bill with several other folks, maybe even hopefully Rep Parenti, if she's able to, we'll be able to take a look at reducing that immunity that stops that industry. It's one of the only industries in the country that cannot be held liable for anything that they've contributed to a loss or a malfunction or something associated with what they produce. So it's a very important bill. It's technical, but I'm so excited to be partnering with Gabby Giffords Foundation on that bill. The second bill is actually a bill I'll be working with Rep. Judy Amabile from Boulder on, and Senator Roberts, looking at the discharge of firearms in the county. It gives authority to other jurisdictions. And I'll just highlight here, I know other bills that are coming will be around age requirements and establishing 10-day waiting period and looking at banning ghost guns. And Molly, I better keep going or I'm going to run out of time. These are other areas that I will be working in, obviously, as the only pharmacist and as a healthcare professional in the capital. I'm very interested in continuing my work in healthcare. We are going to be looking at single payer healthcare bill, and I believe Rep. McCormick and I are working on that together. We'll also be working on ways to continue to lower prescription drug cost. I was so excited this week. We were able to make the announcement of the list of drugs that we hope to be importing from Canada. That was in my very first session as a House Rep, Senate Bill 5. We are looking at getting that program going as quick as possible. Hopefully, if we can get that additional waiver, we might be even able to start it in 2024. Affordable housing, again, it's important to note that we are looking at being able to have homeowners, renters that are in their homes. We're looking at a program to give a first look for those homeowners. If they live and work in Colorado, what we have to do is address the issue of venture capitalists who come in and swoop in and buy up real estate before hardworking families in Colorado can get to and have a chance at those properties. So I have a bill that I'm trying to work on, that if we can get that launched, we can do that. It's been a program that's been offered by Freddie Mac, actually, and other states. And so it's based on programs that we know work. Renters' rights, I'm looking at some partnerships with some House reps in that area. We have some amazing new House reps that have a lot of eviction and renters' rights responsibilities and work that they've done in the past, and I'm looking at partnering with them. I'll continue my work on pesticide regulation. Those of you that know me from past town halls know I have a keen interest in regulating neonicotinoids, neonics, and those very toxic pesticides that hurt our pollinators. So I'm looking in that area. And then I'm very excited about reducing the impact of oil and gas. And so I'm hoping that I will be able to launch that bill with some colleagues. We've been working on it in a way that we believe will be very impactful for our folks in Eastern Boulder County. Last but not least, looking at some animal protection, animal rights bills. I won't spend any more time than listing the title there, because I don't want to take any time away from my colleagues. But if I can comment very quickly, I think we're going to see a lot of bills this session. Our margins are great in the Senate and the House. We've never had these margins before. It's a year where let's see what we can get done. That's what the mandate is from the voters from this past election. And we want to tackle a lot of those issues. So I think you're going to see us being very busy at the Capitol, but I urge you to come and visit us. So I will stop there. And Elizabeth, you'll point me into who's up next, I believe.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Senator Jaquez-Lewis. And so now we are going to move on to Representative McCormick to hear about her goals for this legislative session. Representative McCormick.
Thank you, Elizabeth. And Senator Jaquez-Lewis, you didn't use 2 minutes of your time, so I might take them. Such a shock. I just have this one slide. But before I go into some of these things that I have been working on, I too wanted to recognize today's 10 years since Sandy Hook, and those kids. When I picture those kids, it really does break my heart every time. So, and I know any of us are going to feel that way. I also want to thank each and every one of you for trusting in my work in my first session, and having me receive the honor of being reelected to a second session. It truly is an honor. I've learned a lot in my first session and look forward to continuing the work and representing Longmont. It was reassuring to have your support in reelection. I am on a couple committees I'll tell you about. I was selected to be the chair of the House Agriculture, Water, and Natural Resources Committee. So we changed the name a little bit to fully describe the things that really come to our Agriculture, Water Committee. I'm also, again, on the Health and Insurance Committee. So the same two committees that I was on in my first session, which is wonderful because of the relationships I've already made with people that work in those spaces, and the knowledge that I have gained over the first 2 years, being able to carry that forward is very beneficial. I too am a member of the Women's Caucus and the Gun Violence Prevention Caucus, which I think is a perfect time for us to have formed that caucus. Thank you, Senator Hawkins Lewis, for being part of initiating that. And in the summertime, I'm on the Water Resources Interim Committee. And as you know, water is such a critical resource in our state. It's also a critical topic for us to turn up the volume on and make sure that all of us as Coloradans know that water, its use, its quality, its access, its dependability for the future is worth all of us talking about. The subject doesn't belong to one group of individuals. So I will be participating in making sure that my fellow legislators hopefully attend a water resource, Water 101 training early in the session, just to get us all familiar there. As far as my focus this year, I had a bill last year that had to do with access to diaper changing stations, tables in restrooms. A young dad with a baby was frustrated that he was not able to routinely find baby changing stations in the men's restrooms, and brought forth legislation that modeled federal and some other states that required these changing tables to be accessible to all. That bill is coming back this year, and we've expanded it along with the disability community and the LGBTQ community for state, municipal, and county-owned buildings to make sure that any new buildings or expensive renovations also have non-gendered bathrooms available wherever there are gendered bathrooms. And so this is truly an equity issue across a whole bunch of folks that really need to use the restroom, as we all do. So I am very excited about the coalition of people that are behind this, and the folks across the state that are receiving the news about this in a good way. So since it's going forward, it's likely not to have a big fiscal note, and it's something that can be incorporated into these budgets with new buildings. So super excited about that. The next one is we have a new Office of Gun Violence Prevention in the state. They were awarded a certain bucket of grant money that is yet to really be spent. I want to carve out some of that grant money for a voluntary and anonymous firearm turn-in program. This is for people who have made the decision that they do not want to be gun owners anymore, totally voluntary. We've had some really great organizations here in Longmont, as well as in Boulder, and also the Denver Broncos in the city of Denver have done these events where people are allowed to come and bring firearms and stay on site until they're permanently dismantled, disabled, and oftentimes the raw products of those firearms can be turned into jewelry or garden tools by another nonprofit. These events cost quite a bit of money because the folks are given a token of appreciation when they turn in their firearm in the form of a gift card. So it's not a buyback event. The firearm is in the possession of the owner the whole time. There's no transfer of ownership. Super excited about that. I also have a bill that's going to be a study bill on the use of biochar in plugging of oil and gas wells that are abandoned or they're done and they're shutting them down, so they're plugging them. We want to see about how we can use biochar for a number of reasons. And this study bill will pull together kind of all the experts in the field to develop the study going forward, and how best we might be able to be a leader in the nation on better practices to plug oil and gas wells, to have them be also a source of permanent carbon sequestration. Let's see. Oh, healthcare for every Coloradans. Senator Hawkes Lewis mentioned that one. This will be a study bill on more details behind a single payer healthcare policy for every Coloradan in our state. So a few years ago, there was a bill where the Department of Public Health looked at the way we provide healthcare now to our citizens, kind of a blend of private and single payer, and then like a single or exclusively single payer system. And we're able to determine that the single payer system actually is cheaper for every single person involved, whether it be employers or individuals. And so this bill is not implementing a single payer system, but it's going the next step on more details in kind of getting ready to tee up a ballot initiative for the people of Colorado. We can't quite bring a ballot initiative to Coloradans like we saw several years ago. I think it was 69 or some number that didn't pass because it wasn't well thought out, in my opinion. This is going to be there's more homework, more due diligence being done before we take it to the ballot. And that's what that bill is. The veterinary bill, those of you that aren't kind of in the trenches of veterinary medicine like I am, being a veterinarian, we had the Sunset Veterinary Practice Act come forward last year, and it was a beautiful bill. And we have the veterinary technicians now as a recognized profession. There are still some really serious pain points in the veterinary workforce that were exacerbated by the pandemic, and also the explosion of people really wanting pets. So there's more work to do in this space, and I've been working all summer with a 35-person task force on how describing the problems and how best to solve each and every one of those. So that's still coming together. Those of you that have had a hard time getting in to see your veterinarian might understand. We're trying to work on that. Also working on a measure to help. I'm keeping an eye on time. I'm still under 10 minutes. Stream restoration. This is through the Department of Natural Resources. There's some really great work that's been done on how we can better restore our streams back to the way nature had them. There's lots of benefits to this, including soil health, biodiversity in the areas where these streams have been humanly changed. So that's a great bill to be looking for. I'm also working on a bill about agrivoltaics. It's not on my slide. That didn't quite get through last year. We hope to get that through this year. And that, for those of you that don't know, that's the use of solar panels on agricultural land, so that you have dual use where you're either growing things under the solar panel or you're using grazed land under solar panels for sheep or cattle. Super excited about that, and also exploring the idea of aqua voltaics, which means you have solar panels on bodies of water or stream delivery, like water delivery systems to farms too. So lots of benefits to that. So watch for all that. Certainly feel free to reach out to me with any comments, questions, or concerns. I'm at 11 minutes and I'm done. Thanks.
Great, thank you so much, Representative McCormick. And now we will move on to Representative-elect and my boss, Jennifer Parenti, to share her goals with us about this session. Thank you so much, Jennifer.
Thank you, Elizabeth, and good evening, everybody. As the newcomer in the room, I just wanted to take a moment to introduce myself. My name is Jennifer Parenti, and I'm the brand new representative-elect for House District 19, which is a new district for our region and covers all of Erie, Frederick, Firestone, Dacono, and parts of Longmont. It goes all the way into Boulder County to 95th Avenue. And I'm just so excited to be here and so grateful to so many of the people I can see on the call that came out and helped our campaign. I'm very excited to be able to announce my first committees and shut off my phone. That was a rookie mistake for sure. I have been placed on the Transportation, Housing, and Local Government Committee, which I'm so excited about. If you know anything about District 19, this is so vital to our district and our, our economic progress going forward. And I'm just thrilled to be on this committee. I'm also going to be joining Representative McCormick on the Agricultural, Water, and Natural Resources Committee, which I'm also very excited about because we have so much farmland in the district and ranchers and other constituents in that industry. And I have exceptionally already started committees as part of the year-round Joint Technology Committee, which is a bipartisan year-round committee that meets to discuss IT improvements, not only for the state government, but in general for infrastructure around the state. So I'm really excited to have started work in that area. In terms of caucuses, I am also a member of the Women's and the LGBTQ Caucus. I've also joined the Gun Violence Prevention and the Housing Caucus. And I'm very excited to say it's not an official caucus, but we have an extremely large percentage of veterans in this year's legislature on both sides of the House, or both sides of the General Assembly, I should say, both the Senate and the House. And we've been talking about trying to make sure that we're really taking care of our veterans and military community here in the state, which are so important to Colorado. And I'm very happy to be able to be a voice for that community. I've been keeping busy, meeting with stakeholders and working on my bills. As a new legislator, I'm not quite as far developed with my bills as the incumbents have been. But I've been meeting with stakeholders, nonprofits, constituents, my fellow legislators, working on ideas and proposals for bills in a number of subject areas. I did want to let you know, some of the folks that we've been meeting with. I was able to participate in the regional transportation planning meeting that was recently hosted by the city of Longmont. That was a fantastic opportunity, especially now that I'm going to be on the transportation committee. I met earlier today with Representative McCormick with a number of farmers right here in House District 19. We talked about pesticide management and a number of other issues related that they've been struggling with, challenges that they've had as local farmers. And I'm excited to be able to talk to them and be able to represent their voices down at the Capitol. And I also met with the Colorado National Guard yesterday, the leadership of our National Guard, talking about military and veterans affairs and other things that we can do to protect those communities here in the state. In terms of bills, so again, I'm not quite as far along with my bills as the incumbent representatives, but I can tell you that my approach to legislation is going to be very much aligned to the priorities of the district that we heard along the campaign trail. Number one issue that you all brought to me were concerns about the environment, oil and gas, housing, and housing from an environmental perspective, and how all of that is really coming to a head here in District 19. I am working on an air quality and air quality enforcement bill. It's really nascent, so I don't have a lot of details for you. I apologize, but that is something that I'm extremely interested in and working on, mostly with fellow legislators, to see how we craft that going forward. I'm also working on a housing bill, primarily related to metro districts and HOAs, and making sure that we have the right measures in place to ensure that homeowners are not being, in essence, exploited out of their homes. And I know that that's been an issue here in the district that a lot of you have come to me with concerns about. I'm also working on a public safety kind of gun storage related bill, and I'm really excited to bring that forward, particularly as a former Moms Demand Action volunteer and activist. And finally, I'm working on a voting and elections related bill, specifically related to statutory towns, and ensuring that our statutory towns here in Colorado, the three largest of which are here in District 19, Erie, Frederick, and Firestone, that the clean election laws that have already been passed in the state of Colorado and apply to nearly all elections in the state will also apply to our statutory towns, which they currently do not do. So that's a general sense of some of the bills that I'm working on right now. But I'm also very interested in a few other topic areas, and I'm just not in the bill submission place for those right now. But I'm really looking at two areas of insurance, health insurance. I'm interested in looking at how we can extend vision insurance into our primary health insurance plans. Again, very nascent, but that's something that I'm interested in. I think we do need to look at homeowners insurance in the wake of the Marshall fires. I know Representative Amabile has been public in wanting to put a bill forward in that space, not just in terms of accessibility, but affordability. And I'm very excited to have been able to put forward an idea from a constituent that's going to be included in another legislator's bill to ensure that our emergency planning activities here in the state are inclusive of our communities, our citizens with disabilities. And so that's something that I'm very excited about. It's probably going to go into a bill that also includes language accessibility and language inclusivity in the area of emergency planning. And so I'm very excited to be able to bring that forward on behalf of a constituent. I wanted to just close to let you know that I am very interested in community outreach. It was a focus of our campaign, and I want to take that forward now in the legislature. We are in District 19 creating what we're calling district councils. They're like focus groups around particular subject areas. So a district council on aging, and one on the environment, and one on housing and business and economic development. So my aide is going to drop a link in the chat. If you have expertise in one of those areas, I highly encourage you to sign up. And as we get those going, we'll be able to include you on our distribution lists. So that's it. And I look forward to your questions. Thank you.
All right, great. Thank you so much, Representative Parenti. And I see now that we have Emma from Congressman Joe Negus's office. So I will turn the time over to her now. Thank you so much for joining us, Emma.
Awesome, thank you. Hi everyone, I am Emma Marion. I am the Director of Community Affairs for Congressman Negus. Thank you to Senator Jaquez Lewis, Representative McCormick, and Rep-elect Parenti for inviting the Congressman to participate in this evening's town hall. I know he wishes he could be here, but he is actually on the floor for votes as we speak. So I'll make this quick since I know I am not the Congressman himself, but I'm still happy to be here. And as this 117th Congress wraps up, we're proud of the work that's been accomplished over the last year. Congressman Negus and his colleagues worked tirelessly to secure the enactment of bills like the Inflation Reduction Act, the CHIPS and Science Act, the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, the American Rescue Plan, and more. I could go on and on and on. And these bills included significant backing for rebuilding America's infrastructure and enacted the single largest investment in climate action in this country's history. And right now, the priority for the end of the year for this lame duck session, there's a lot of things to get done, but a huge priority that they're working on right now is the budget. And so just to get the budget through. But so thank you for having me in the Congressman's place. I know he hopes to join the next one. He was disappointed he couldn't make it. But I'm here and I'm happy to relay any questions or concerns that you have for the Congressman so he can make sure to hear them. But yeah, so with that being said, we'll hand things back over to Elizabeth.
Okay, thank you so much. So I think we will go ahead. We have some questions coming in through the chat. So first off, a question about activities down at the Capitol for constituents. So prior to COVID, there were annual East County Days at the Capitol where constituents just got to go down and chat with legislators and participate in presentations from different community members and also go and observe the House and Senate in action. So does anyone know, are there plans to resume those types of activities?
Well, thank you for that question. I'll give my take on it, and then Rep. McCormick, Rep-elect Parenti can give their take. We still had quite a number of visitors, even last year, even with COVID. The tours have been modified a little bit. I'm not sure what the plans are for the actual tours of the Capitol, but I know I love it when constituents come down to visit. I encourage you to please come down. If I'm on the Senate floor, I'll try to step out. You can hand what's called a card or a note to the Sergeant at Arms, and they can hand it to us, and I'll try to step out. It's basically, there are groups from Boulder County that come down. I know the Democratic Women of Boulder County always come down. Clean from Longmont comes down, and I think we have some Clean members here in the town hall. Maybe if you know anything about that and encourage activism in Clean, I certainly do. I know that there are various groups that sign up to come as a group. I don't know who organized the East Boulder County tours, but if you are coming down and can give us a heads up, Molly just put our email in the chat. If you can let us know with a little bit of time ahead, we can try to reserve rooms or try to meet you as a group, even if it's possible. But I love it when folks come to visit the Capitol, so I urge you to do it. It gets a little rowdy. There's a lot of lobbyists down there that like to take up the chamber entrance, but we will make time for you. I'm sure my colleagues will as well. So thanks for the question.
And we also have one for Emma. We wanted to hear what legislation or activities is Representative DeGoose most looking forward to this upcoming session?
Oh, sorry. That's a great question. You know, I know he's really, I know we're going to be in the minority, but he is still really looking forward to working with other members across the aisle, something that he does really well. And he really works well. He and Rep. Curtis, who are co-chairs of the Wildfire Caucus, are looking forward to continuing their work together on that. And other than that, still TBD what's going to be introduced and what will get passed. So yeah.
Okay. And I would like to highlight a question from Gary. It was answered in chat, but I'd like to just put it out there because it's a great question. So Gary, if insurers are pulling out from or raising rates for insurance on buildings in fire-prone areas, there has been talk of the legislature providing funds to remedy that problem. Is it really a problem? And it seems to me that subsidizing insurance will help more people build houses in fire-prone areas. Have you considered this effect in our houses in fire-prone areas, mainly those of higher income people?
Rep. McCormick,
Well, I answered it only because I hadn't heard of any issues, but it looks like Rep. Parenti may know of something. I just know of what Rep. Amabile is working on in the fire insurance area. And so if I misspoke or misdirected the answer,
There's two.
Somebody correct me.
Yeah, there's two bills. And the Boulder County delegation, right after the Marshall fire happened last year, which we're coming up on the anniversary. And I know there's some folks in the town hall tonight who did lose their homes. And I'm not going to mention your names, but know that I know you're here with us and that we have not forgotten you. We are continuing that work. The Boulder County delegation got together and came up with a list of about 6 different bills. Several of those have already passed and the funding has already been allotted. I want to give a shout out to our new Boulder County Commissioner, Ashley Stoltzman. She is working on an initiative in conjunction with, I believe, President Fenberg and some others to come up with a program specifically for Marshall Fire housing needs. Rep. Mobley is also working on an underinsurance bill. The issue is real in mountain areas. Several of the insurance companies have pulled out, and so this is a real problem. Not so much in our Boulder County area, but more in our, when I say our Boulder County, Senate District 17, Superior, Louisville, and of course that changes for me in January. I lose Louisville and pick up Erie, but in the mountain areas of Boulder County, this is a real problem. And that's why Rep. Mobley is working on it. And so I believe there will be 2 initiatives. I don't have the exact details yet because the language hasn't been shared, but we will definitely get the word out when it's time to pass those bills. And I think Rep-elect Parenti, you want to say something about it?
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to add, and there's another comment that came in through the Q&A related to this. It's not just an issue of the insurance companies that have pulled out, and several have, and that is a real issue that we need to address, but also that premiums have skyrocketed, and that does impact the communities and the communities in District 19. There's a comment in the chat about homeowners insurance policies going up 50%. I can tell you that my own homeowners insurance policy was originally quoted to me for $11,000 a year on this renewal. That's a 4-time increase, a quadrupling of my existing homeowners insurance policy. And I've had to change the policy, right? The terms of the policy to get it down to an affordable level, or I'm going to have to change insurance companies, right? And this is an insurance company I've been with for 35 years, right? And so like that's very real as well. It's on my radar because it personally hit home for us and something that we're going to have to look at for sure. Because we're going to price, it becomes a housing affordability issue if people are priced out of their homes because of insurance. So I just wanted to add that to the conversation and let you know it's on our radar.
Great. Okay, and we also have a question here from Kathy, who is excited about the new GVP Gun Violence Prevention Caucus that has been formed, as I think many of us on this call are. So she is asking if adding mandatory education about ERPO, safe storage, and lost or stolen handguns to their waiting period bill could be added to the state bill. That is something that's being done in Broomfield, and could those types of measures be added to legislation going through the state bill? So I see Karen, I see Representative McCormick's hand up.
Well,
Yeah.
I was just going to say, and I know Rep. Parenti wants to say something too, but one of the purposes of the Gun Violence Prevention Office in the Colorado Public Health and Environment Department at the state is education and outreach. And so some of the money that we as a legislature put in the budget for them, big chunk of it is for education and outreach throughout the state about our our new laws and any laws going forward and any other measures that can be done to advance gun violence prevention. They just hired their new director. And so some of that education outreach, public relations campaigns, all of that is yet to come because it takes, unfortunately, it takes time to roll things out and get people hired and get things going. But absolutely, we did pass a bunch of measures that are fabulous, but until people know about them and how to access and implement them, it's not gonna, we're not gonna see the results. And so it's coming. We're gonna continue to make sure that that office gets funded. That's one of my priorities. And I'll pass it to Rep. Parenti.
I think you covered it. All of the, and I will just say to Kathy that all the ideas that you've listed in your Q&A are certainly things that people are talking about. And what ends up going forward, we just don't have visibility of that. We haven't even been sworn in. I haven't even been sworn in yet. But yeah, I mean, I think all of those things are things that people are talking about and looking at and seeing what's in the realm of possible.
And I'll add to it. I absolutely agree, Kathy. We're so excited because the caucus will shine a new light in so many different ways. There are so many different bills that are needed to address gun violence in our communities. There will be a bill coming. I didn't mention it on my slide, but there will be a bill coming that is going to strengthen the ERPO requirements as far as allowing others to report. I agree with Rep. McCormick and Rep-elect Parenti that the office around gun violence prevention could play a real key role. I actually met with the CDPHE director, Jill Hunsinger-Ryan, who is the supervisor of that office. And the caucus is requesting that the new office director come and present to our gun violence prevention caucus so we can find out what other measures they are doing. It really takes a lot of legislation to address such a huge problem. Whether or not we can do all of that in 1 year, I doubt it, but we can, as a caucus, we can plan to have important pieces of legislation over time. And we have such a large caucus in this issue that I have no doubt that we're going to be able to pass some very substantive legislation. And one last thought on that. When I was at the Council of State Governments, I met the senator who ran the bill that went to the Supreme Court. His name is Byron Townsend. And he is as excited as can be because of the narrow ruling. I think there was a question in the chat about will we be challenged? He is excited as he can be that the Supreme Court left it very narrow. And so that leaves the door open for many of us to continue our work in gun violence prevention. And all three of us are super dedicated to doing that. So thank you. Thanks for your involvement. Thanks for the earlier question on it.
I wanted to jump in because there's a follow-up question from Carol. And I'm kind of not remembering all the things that all the different people are working on, but isn't one of our colleagues working on some type of permitting policy? So I wanted to answer her. So Carol, yes, we would love to see that too. And probably they are looking at that Massachusetts law as a type of model for here in Colorado. So thank you for the question. I'm not involved in the actual policy of that bill, but would also be very supportive of it.
Karen, thanks for bringing that up. Carol, it's always great to have you on the town halls. Thank you for everything you do to reduce gun violence. I just want to mention not only Massachusetts, Oregon was the first state in the country to run a statewide referendum, which is a permit to purchase law. The problem with the Oregon law is that the local municipalities have a loophole to get out of enforcing it. And so there are at least 2 legislators that would like to see this. This is a much bigger lift. And we want to make sure we get it right. So we want to do a version of what Massachusetts has passed. We want to take a look at how Oregon did it. I agree with you. I think it's a great route to go. So let's hope we can either, if it's not this year, I bet it'll for sure be the following year.
And next, let's see, we have a question about internet access. I think we have all realized after the past couple of years that it is nigh near impossible to participate in really any aspect of society without internet access. So what do you feel are the best ways to ensure that everyone has equal access to reliable broadband internet?
I love raising my hand, so I just did. I'm using the raise hand feature, Jennifer. Anyway, I'm just going to say one thing. There's lots to say on this. I just wanted to point out that Senator Hawkins Lewis and I worked with our school district here on a bill. I think it was 2 years ago. Anyway, because our students during the pandemic and otherwise were really in dire straits during the pandemic, not being able to access internet. We have internet deserts in our school district. Our school district is quite large. And so we did bring forth a measure working with the private internet providers so that they didn't feel like it was a competition issue. It was a very well negotiated bill to allow the school district to be able to send their school internet signal out where it's protected. It's not open to the public, but that students could access the internet and not have to sit in the parking lot of Panera Bread and do their homework. So this is also very helpful. And each student also gets a tablet so that they're not having to share doing their homework with the one computer at home. So just as far as access to students and families of St. Vrain Valley School District, that was a great measure to really get access to internet, because you're right, it is a necessity. It is to me like a utility, like electricity and heat. It's not a whatever the word is.
A nice
not a
to have.
luxury. It's
Yeah.
not a luxury. Yeah, it's a necessity. So that's what we at least did, and that's going to still continue to roll out. It's not done. They haven't finished building the towers and all the things they need to do. So it is still coming, at least for our St. Vrain students.
Yeah, and just to add to that, echo Representative McCormick's comments, philosophically, yes. I mean, we need to start treating the internet like a public utility. We need to move in that direction. It should be, access to it should be as guaranteed as we have access to electricity and running water in our homes. I can tell you that the Joint Technology Committee is receiving a briefing on broadband deployment throughout the state tomorrow. So if you're interested in this topic, tune in at about 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, and you can hear from the National Telecommunications and Information Agency and the $42 billion of federal budget that has been allocated across the 50 states to address the issue of internet deployment. Here in Colorado, I know that our focus and priority is on the tribal lands and trying to make sure that we've got good internet access there. But there will also be additional federal dollars and coming in that can be tapped by municipalities and counties and potentially even school boards. We have to see to help with the deployment of internet infrastructure throughout the state. So we'll hopefully have more information about where that's going tomorrow.
Okay, and I think we have time for one more question. There's one that just came through the chat. So we have California passed a bill to make phone calls from prison free. A private contractor provides this service and gouges the inmates. California will pick up the tab. It is important for inmates to stay in touch with family and network. Is there any chance of this, a similar policy being brought up in Colorado?
I'll attempt it because I know the legislator who was trying to work on this, Leslie Herod, Rep. Herod, who did try to run a bill about this. I think it was my first year. So that was 2019. I believe that she was not able to, we weren't able to have the funding to pay for it out of Colorado's general funds. But she was looking to have some kind of a special contractor deal across all the different jails, so it could be cheaper. I think that fell apart. So as far as I know, I'm not sure of anyone who's bringing it up this year. I do want to mention, and I'm sure we'll all have a chance to gather again and talk about the state budget when we know more about it, but our budget will be much tighter this year. We will not have the federal funds that were coming in from the ARPA funds, from COVID funds, all the different things that helped us fund so many initiatives and programs in the past 2 years. I do know that we're going to see probably the most bills we've seen in many years because of the margin that we have of the Democrats in the House and the Senate. However, we're going to have a lot less funds to do things with. So I'm not sure where that idea could go, but I will definitely take it back and see if we can find out, Ingrid, if anybody's working on it.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone. So I think we're almost to the end of our time. So I would just like to give our panelists a quick opportunity if you have any final parting thoughts, and to thank you all so much for giving us your time tonight and discussing your legislative priorities. We are very excited for the start of this session.
Who wants to go?
You do.
Oh my, I am super excited about this session. I am just so excited to work with Rep. McCormick again, to be able to start my work with Rep-elect Parenti. Having 23 Democratic senators in the Senate is unheard of. I'm going to be serving on committees where we have 9 committee members. Usually we have 6 or 7. It's super exciting. I wish, you know, we always talk about Tabor. I wish we didn't have to deal with Tabor in Colorado, because we could do so much more. But with the limited funds, we've got a lot of great ideas coming in. We're going to address climate change ideas. We're going to look at air quality. We're going to look at housing. I could go on and on. But I am super excited, and send us your ideas too, because this may be the session to get them done, as long as they don't have a large fiscal note. So I'll stop there.
I too just want to say thank you and reiterate, anyone that wants to come hang out and sit in the gallery and watch the action, or no action as it may be, depending on the day, or sit in a committee. Open invitation. It's something that I honestly never did before. So, you know, I was involved with my own small business, but it is kind of interesting at times. And so open invitation, just write me an email and we can set it up. So thank you all very much for your time tonight.
Yes, and just to echo the sentiments of, you know, thank you all for being here tonight. Thank you for your support on the campaign trail, and thank you in advance for your patience as I get my office up and running and figure out what the heck is going on down at the Capitol. But please do come and visit us and email us and call us whenever you have a concern. That's why we're here. We're here to represent you.
All right, thank you so much, everyone, for attending, and we hope to see you at our future legislative town halls, and we hope you all have a great evening. Thank you so much for joining us.